YouTube, what's going on? It is your boy James with Make an Opening, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a look at one of the most popular decks before the Force Throw ban and see exactly what's going on today. Quinlan Tarkintown is actually one of my most played decks in all of Star Wars Unlimited. Losing Force Throw was definitely a massive, massive hit, but I don't know if the deck is actually dead. It may still have life in this post-ban meta leading up into the Secrets of Power. But before we dive in, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to join the community Discord as well. Linked downstairs in the description. You'll be able to vote in future giveaways, showcase showdowns, and just, talk shop, talk Star Wars Unlimited with a bunch of like-minded people. We've had a lot of really cool, fun conversation, and we'd love to have you. But yeah, let's dive into Quinlan Tarkintown post Force Throw nerf, or ban even. How nerfed is Quinlan? Is he dead in the water? So Quinlan Tarkintown has always been famously called the most fair deck in the game. It always had, game and could play into just about anything in the field. But because of that, most matchups are 50-50. It's like a jack of all trades, not a master of anything, but good at everything. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that pushed Quinlan over the edge was Force Throw. This is the one card that gave Quinlan the power swing that it desperately needed to skew those matchups from 50-50s to, 60-40s, 70-30s, etc. However you want to do your math. So it's a one resource removal. It can completely flip a board state. All of you guys are familiar with Force Throw, but if you're not, here it is. But, it's banned now, so it doesn't matter. But this is the reason why Quinlan always was, really good, really meta prevalent. And before Force Throw got banned, Quinlan was actually the guy in the meta, the top dog, alongside, JTL, Boba, Data Vault, Green, stuff like that. If you saw, like double Force Throw on your deploy turn, and then, you also had Hot Shot Blast or whatever, you're winning 90% of those games, 100% of those games, whatever. You're winning 9 times out of 10. If you make it to turn 6, turn 7, and you haven't seen a single Force Throw, those games are a lot more 50-50, and you're probably climbing uphill the rest of the match in those scenarios, which made Quinlan, a fair deck, a fair 50-50. So the ban definitely does hurt, but it doesn't mean Quinlan is unplayable. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I think it's not unplayable in a few different ways. We're going to be looking in one avenue, and maybe in the future we'll explore the other ones as well. So basically we're going to be shifting archetypes with Quinlan Tarkintown. The way forward is leaning harder into one or the other. So Quinlan was always very much, aggro mid-range. It's not like an aggro deck. It's not a mid-range deck. He was an aggro mid-range deck. If you look at the pie chart or the triangle of decks, you got aggro, you got control, you got mid-range. He was right here, right in the middle of that cross-section. So my solution to making sure Quinlan isn't dead in the water without Force Throw is to more heavily lean into one or the other, either aggro or mid-range. Mid-range Quinlan is going to lean more on hand disruption and removal to grind out value in a game, whereas aggro Quinlan is going to be leaning more on pushing damage early and trying to race the other fast decks in the meta. Today I'm going to be bringing you a proof of concept for Aggro Quinlan. It's version 1, but after some reps, I can tell you it's pretty spicy. This isn't the end all be all. I've gotten 10 test games in with this list, and it's pretty fun, and it is just a proof of concept. Maybe in the future we'll discuss what mid-range Quinlan would look like, and also I think there could be a few different genres of Aggro Quinlan. You could go heavy into with Aggro Quinlan. You can go heavy into space. You could go heavy into droids using like Babu Freak. You go heavy into rebels with 4 Calls I Believe in. There's a bunch of different avenues, but we're going to be looking at my Aggro Quinlan today, and we're going to see how we like it. So on screen now, you're going to be seeing my Aggro Quinlan list, and some of the key things you can notice right off the rip is the top end is greatly reduced. We don't have any 7 or 6 resource units. We're topping off at Plo Koon at 5 resources. And we're leaning more into early pressure with a new 1 resource unit package. Cartel Turncoat is actually a really key piece in this list, but we'll circle back to why that is in a minute. You still have the tools that you need against, pilots and leaders that pilot like Boba4 DV because in the main deck we still have Disabling Fang Fighter. And then as you notice in the sideboard, we also have Bamboozle in the side. Also, we have good play into more mid-range and control lists because we still run Kira in the main. I opted for Kira over Ahsoka because in aggro, Ahsoka doesn't offer too much. Maybe it'll help you race a little bit in those racing scenarios because you can potentially exhaust a unit. But since we're not doing a whole lot of hand ripping, it's hard to guarantee that units are going to be in their hand whenever you play Ahsoka. So Ahsoka could be more miss than hit in this deck, so I've opted for Kira main instead of Ahsoka. And as you'll see on the sideboard, we also run Spark. So basically after game 1, you know, if you're going against Boba or Vader, for example, the pilot leaders, you can side in Bamboozles to go alongside your Fang Fighters, or we have a more sturdy package against those pilots. And then if you're playing into a mid-range or control list, you can side in the Sparks to go alongside the Kira to, again, further beef up that package there. But our main game plan is going to be pushing damage. Like in all aggro decks, the priority is very simple. You want to get damage through to the opponent's base. And one of my favorite units, that's been one of my favorite units since it was actually the tease before the set even came out, was the Quinlan Vos unit. Quinlan Vos himself is one of the best units in the deck at pushing damage. As you can see, right here, he's a 4/5, and if he is attacking with 6 or more power, you can deal 2 damage to the enemy base. This is great because in the deck, we're also running Surprise Strike and the Hotshot Blaster as well. So Surprise Strike makes him 7 plus 2, that's 9 damage to base. Hotshot Blaster makes him 6 plus 2, that's 8 damage to base, so long as you're not running into any walls like Sentinels or anything like that. Though, honestly, he is easy to disrupt because it is a 4-drop that effectively does nothing. You play him, you need to pass him to your next turn, and then follow him up with Hotshot or Surprise Strike. Other than that, 4/5 is still a solid body, and he can trade pretty well. If you need to, if you're losing the race to another aggro deck and you need to trade, he's got a big butt, you know, healthy 4/5 stat line, so he's not a dead card in the list at all. But that tempo is exactly what Quinlan needs to offset losing force throw. If you're not going to be able to force throw them, you just want to blitz their base and win before they get a chance to breathe. And with that, we got some secret sauce in this deck. The list gets very fun with this card right here. Now, this is a card that I've never seen anyone run in Quinlan, and it's also just not run a whole lot in general because of the built-in gambling, but I'm a gambling man. I love gambling. So we're running Trench Run in the deck, and it's definitely a high risk, high reward card, but this card can absolutely decide games on the spot. In our main deck, we have 10 fighter units. Here they are, my assortment of fighters. You see them here. Any of these 10 fighter units can get a +4/+0 buff. Though, there is a catch. You mill the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. The cost difference between the 2 cards, that's damage to your fighter. So the best target is typically Red 5 since it's the beefiest fighter out of all of them with the 3/4 body. But against other aggro decks, you can gamble that they're going to have low cost cards on the top of their deck. So you can gamble the card a little bit more on your smaller fighters. Cartel Turncoat, for example, is a fighter. Cartel Turncoat, Disabling Fang Fighter, you know, they have lower HP costs, but you can sometimes gamble. And if you ever get a shield. So Trench Run, Quinlan Vos, these are some of the main ways that we are pushing damage and pushing it quick. Obviously, you still play it as a Quinlan deck as well. You have the Tarkintown to slow down mid-range and aggro decks because you are covering a wider variety of unit costs now. The 1-drops are in there to stop the, you know, we've seen a lot of, like not a lot, but a slight rise in like Cad Bane Tarkintown weenie decks where they're playing 1-drops. So to match that, we'll play 1-drops. 1-drop cards are good into Vader because you can blow up some of their stuff. And, you know, just helps you. If you have 2 1-drops turn 1 as an aggro deck, it's a good start. So far with this deck, and I'll put it back on screen for you guys now. So far, my record is 2-0 versus a Boba4 DV, 2-0 versus a Palpatine Yellow, 1-2 versus a Sabine ECL, and 1-2 versus Cad Bane Tarkintown. This was a standard Cad Bane Tarkintown, like the one you've seen on my channel, not like the weenie one. So it's 10 games, 60% win rate. It's not perfect, but considering it's an unrefined list, it's version 1, I haven't really tweaked it at all, it's pretty promising. I gotta say, I'm loving it. It's fast, and it's Quinlan, and I love Quinlan. So is Quinlan Tarkintown dead post-ban? I don't think so, but honestly, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions downstairs in the comment section. I personally think it's not dead. You just need to commit harder to an identity. So far, I've been testing aggro. It might be the way forward. It's definitely fun, but again, unrefined, barely tested. Work with me here. But if you do want to keep up with this list as it evolves, hop in the community Discord, again, downstairs in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what decks you want me to cover next in the post-ban meta. And as always, stay unlimited. Peace out.